Hello everybody and thank you for joining me today. I wanted to get on here and do kind of a weekly update because I haven't put anything out since Monday afternoon. I had intentions on going fishing Tuesday, but we ran into some issues with there being a boat dock fee or a boat launch fee, and I didn't have any money on me, and I didn't really want to get my truck and trailer towed and be stranded on the lake. It didn't seem like it'd be a very fun afternoon. I did get to go fishing yesterday. I didn't catch anything at all. I really didn't see a whole lot of fish moving. I didn't see many bait fish. I didn't see a whole lot of fish jumping, and I was having trouble finding them. This lake that I'm fishing is a reservoir. It's a lowland reservoir. And today, on lunch break and all that, I was kind of doing some research on it. And I think I was fishing in the wrong spot. On these lowland reservoirs, this kind of lowland reservoir, when you fish toward the dam, it's kind of tough to pinpoint spots to fish. It can be done, but especially without electronics, it's kind of difficult. There's not too much visible structure. It's mostly just rock shoreline. So tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. Monday. Hopefully Monday we'll get to go fishing again. And I'm going to go to the northern part of the lake, to the upper part of the lake, where all of the little feeder rivers and feeder creeks and everything join together at. Because in the summertime, I got to reading that that's kind of the place to go. It's shallower, it's more accessible to structure, it's easier to pinpoint where fish are going to be, and just overall, it's better fishing up there. So that's what we're going to do. There's going to be current, I would assume, since all of the creeks and rivers are feeding it. We're going to pull out the Navionics and try to position the boat out in the main channel and cast toward the bank, cast out shallow, and kind of reel back deep and try to maybe get some swim jigging or just swim baits, try to get some of those on the bottom and reel them down across ledges and out into the deeper holes. Maybe we can catch one. Maybe we can look out and find a tree or a submerged stump or part of the old road or something like that we can fish across. Maybe holding a couple fish. I tried to take some video, try to get a little footage while I was out on the lake yesterday, but I didn't think about it and I turned my phone sideways. And a lot of my video would have just turned out to be crooked, sideways, when I uploaded it to YouTube. And I didn't want to do that because that's just poor camera. It's a cameramanship. I don't think that's the right word. I don't even know if that's a word. But anyway, it wouldn't have looked right, and it would have been difficult to really see what I was talking about. So I'm not going to put that one up. Instead, we'll just go out and see if we can get some footage Monday. Hopefully these late days at work will be done and I'll be able to get out there pretty early. Or I say pretty early. Probably hoping to get out by at least 4 o'clock. I didn't even get out on the lake yesterday until after 6, almost 6:30. But anyway, there's no fishing footage yet. I didn't catch anything. Like I said, it's all part of the process. Sorry about that. I was getting a phone call. It's all part of the process. I'm not going to catch fish on every fishing trip because I've got to learn this lake, and traveling to different lakes is kind of new to me, so I'm researching and learning as much as I can, so I can give y'all information, and then hopefully we'll learn it soon and we can start catching fish, and I can demonstrate the techniques that I'm doing to catch the fish and pointing out the spots what I was doing and see if we can get a pattern established. And hopefully we can kind of fish around and I can find a pattern but also show the patterns that didn't work. So maybe I can teach somebody how to determine a pattern. Anyway, we'll get to all that next week. Today I got my new reel and my rods. Got my rods in the mail also. So we'll do a little unboxing and I will show how to properly spool up a baitcaster. I don't have a spinning reel to spool up, so I'm not going to do that one right now, but we can do a how-to. We'll just make this one a how-to on a baitcaster reel, a how-to and an unboxing all in one. I hope everybody sticks with me for the long run. It's going to be a long process, and we're not going to be doing too good as far as catching fish and all that right off the bat, especially for a little while until I really learn what I'm doing. But I really am putting in hours and hours a week, any kind of free time that I get, that I'm not able to talk to the fiance. I'm putting in watching fishing videos. I'm researching, reading about fish, researching lakes, how to fish different kinds of lakes, how to identify lakes, anything that I can think of that could help or that will help. Any kind of information. Watching it, reading it, doing everything I can to learn. So I'm really putting in the hours, and I'm really putting in the effort to learn and to better myself so that I can eventually make this into a career. Gotta open it from the other side. But it's all a learning process, and everybody's got to start somewhere. And I just happened to start out now, but we'll get there. It's all part of it. I tell you what, if you ever need any kind of fishing equipment, Tackle Warehouse does a good job on all their stuff. They ship everything really protected, and I've never had an issue with them. Never had any rods show up broken. Never had packages lost. Everything's been here on time or ahead of time of what they said it was going to be. Here we go. It's just good stuff. Oh, and right now they're doing a free t-shirt. I think if you spend more than $50, you get a free t-shirt, so there's that. They're out of a lot of sizes, but what they do have is free, obviously. Alright, here we go. We got it open. I said that. There we go. Okay. We'll start out with the crankbait rod, because that's my other reel's down in the truck. So we'll start out with the crankbait rod and go ahead and get it suited up. Get the plastic off of it. Cool. Alright, this is a 6'6" favorite Whitebird. It's their cheapest model of baitcaster rod, or one of their cheapest models. That's what I'm starting out with now. I'm going to start out with cheap gear until I really figure out what I'm doing, and then I'll start progressing and getting better equipment. But until I really learn and really figure out everything, I don't really see a whole lot of sense in going and spending $300 or $400 on a rod at the moment. Say 6'6", medium heavy, fast action. But I don't know how well y'all can see it. It's got a lot of play in it. Like it's not real stiff like a lot of medium heavies are. So it's more like a medium. It feels more like a medium. It's really soft. It's really soft, and even let's see here. It ain't got any play there. It really starts having a lot of flex in between the second and third eye here. So, and it just kind of progresses from there. It's a really limber rod. Anyhow, this is going to be the crankbait rod, because you don't need a really long rod to crankbait with, because you're typically not throwing it very far. You're making short, accurate casts. So you don't need a 7.5, 8 foot rod to throw a crankbait with. You just need a little old short rod, something between 6 foot and 6'10" is what I would stick with. I mean, you can throw it on a 7 foot, but it's it's unnecessary, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. It can be done, but it doesn't have to be done. Okay, there we go. We'll go ahead and just open both of them while we're here, and then we'll put some line on the reel. Okay, this is a 7'3" medium heavy balance series rod. It's a moderate fast action, so it's got more flex all the way down the rod than a fast action would. Instead of, I've really got to get a better camera. Instead of a fast action rod, most of the play is going to come from this section of the rod, and this part's going to be a little bit stiffer. But a moderate fast is going to, it's going to have a lot of. You see how it's bending a lot back in here? That's your moderate fast. If it was a moderate, it would be back in here where it was bending. The slower your rod action, the more of your rod is what's going to be flexing. It's going to be a softer rod, and there's several different baits that work better with a softer rod application, and we'll get to that later on in another video probably, so that this one doesn't wind up being a 2-hour video. So anyway, this is going to be my chatterbait and my lipless crankbait rod. That other one's going to be my my crankbait and my topwater popper, and I don't know what else I'll use it for. I may use it for smaller prop baits and smaller plugs and stuff like that. But anyhow, I've got a reel downstairs in the truck that's already got 15-pound, is it 15 or 17? No, it's got 17-pound fluorocarbon on it. So that's what I'll stick on this one. So we'll just set it off to the side for now. Alright, the reel. The reel is it's a Lew's Speed Spool LFS. It's right at $100 on just about anywhere you get it. That's the going price for them. This one is a where's it at? I can't get it to focus. Anyway, it's a 5.6 to 1 gear ratio. It's a really slow reel. This is what I'm going to put on the crankbait rod, because you want your crankbaits to go pretty slow. They'll get hung up less, because crankbaits, when you're reeling really fast, they tend to kind of kick sideways instead of staying. And instead of staying in a straight line, they'll kind of kick to one side or the other. So a slower reel will help the action of your crankbait. It'll help it kind of worm through rocks and over stumps and around poles and piers and pilings and stuff like that a little bit better. That, and when you get excited and you hook up into one and you just really start grinding on it, you're not going to reel it too fast to rip the hooks out of the fish's face or his mouth, however you've got him hooked. You won't rip the hooks out of him, because with this slow of a reel, you almost can't reel it too fast. It won't allow you to speed it up too much. Anyway, there's that. We're going to put 14-pound monofilament on this. I would want to have, I don't know, a lot of people say to use fluorocarbon on your crankbaits, and a lot of people say to use mono on your crankbaits. I tend to think, not really going off of a on the water experience opinion, just kind of like a what I'm thinking about opinion, like a 2 + 2 = 4 kind of opinion. Whenever you're fishing a crankbait, you've got that body that's it's not heavy, but I guess as far as stuff getting thrown around, it would be considered heavy. And when the fish starts shaking, that crankbait body is twisting, turning, going sideways, trying to wrap around itself, and it's got a lot of weight that can potentially pull the hooks out of the fish. So in my opinion, I think if you use mono and use a slower action rod, your rod will have a lot of load in it. It'll have a lot of flexibility. So your rod's constantly pulling back on the fish, trying to spring back, and your line monofilament stretches. I forget exactly the percentage that it stretches. I want to say it's up to 15% on some of it. I could be wrong, but it stretches out quite a bit. So think about it like a rubber band. If you stretch a rubber band out, you've got that tension always trying to pull the rubber band back to its original state. And mono's the same way. When the fish is pulling and you're pulling against it, that mono's getting stretched out and it's constantly keeping tension. So as long as when you're reeling, you can keep a constant tension on it, the line being stretched and the rod pulling back is always going to keep a little bit of tension on the fish, and I think it will keep it pegged a little bit better and keep the fish from being able to jump off and get unhooked a little bit better. That's just my thinking. I could be wrong, but there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat with it, so we'll see how it works. On a side note, Plano makes this little box here that you can put 6 spools of lines in, and it just holds the normal size ones up to an inch wide. So the 150, 300 yard spools of line, it's got these little holes in the front. It's got these little holes in the front that you can stick line through. See, I've got this one through. I'm ready to do the spooling. Anyhow, you can get these at Academy, Bass Pro Shops, just about anywhere. Alright, on to spooling the reel up. It does matter, especially with fluorocarbon and mono, which way that you spool it. The line is coming off the top of the spool right now, so it's going to be coming off this way. You want to have it facing, you want to have the line coming off the top of the spool going onto the top of the reel. So as your line's coming off this way, it's going onto the reel this way, so that you don't wind up getting a lot of line twist. It'll keep it, you see how it's got that memory to it, and no matter which way you twist it, it wants to go back to that side. It keeps that memory in it, so you don't wind up trying to reverse the memory of it, because that's going to cause a lot of backlashing. That's going to cause a lot of line twist to wind up happening. So when you're spooling, make sure your line's coming off the top of the spool and going onto the top of your reel this way. And this here box makes it really easy to do this. You just take and drop, you spool the line up in there. There we go. Put it through the hole. Close the box, latch it down. And now you don't have to have somebody, I'm sure you've done it before, somebody sit there with the pencil stuck through the line, holding it with the thumb on it, the way you're sitting there reeling, or got that same pencil stuck in between your knees and you're sitting there trying to do it, or if you wear Crocs, you got it stuck in your Crocs and you're down there trying to do it. This eliminates having to do all of that, and you can just put this up on a table. You can put it down in the floor and put your foot on it so it doesn't move around any, but it makes it easier because your spool's not going everywhere. I'm sure you've tried to set it on the floor and just reel it that away, and that reel just starts spinning and goes everywhere. It eliminates all that. It eliminates every problem that you can come up with that you'll have putting line on your reel. Anyway, what I like to do is, when I first start out, I want to get your level line right in the middle. Alright? I'm going to go ahead and click down the button so to hold my handle in place, so when I set it down it wouldn't move any. See, it's still right in the middle. You want to take your line, Stick it through your level line. I like to go over the top of my spool, around the bottom of my spool, stick my finger through the bottom here, and push my line back up to me. That way your line's coming through your level line, up and over, around the bottom, and up through. And then this is where you'll tie your knot at. I like to just tie, I'm not really exact, it's just, it's nothing really fancy. It's just, you just take your tag in and tie you a half hitch around your main line. So that way your tag in is tied to your main line, and it'll work like a noose. Whenever you pull your main line, it'll cinch it down to your spool. And then I like to make sure that the knot is right in the middle of your spool. Whenever you pull it tight, pull your tag in, pull everything nice and tight. Cut your tag end off. Well, that didn't work. I cut too much of the tag end off. There's probably a better way to do this. I'm sure there's a better way to do this. This is just what I've always done. That's always worked for me, except when I'm trying to put it on video, then it's going to mess up. It's like that with everything. You know, you try to show somebody how to do something, you do it 100 times in a row, and it works out until you try to demonstrate it. And it's not. It just won't cooperate. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and double half hitch it. We'll put 2 on it. It's not going to, see how small that knot is? I can't get you in focus. Anyway, that knot's really small, so it's not gonna affect, like, you're not gonna have like a big bump in the middle of your spool by the time you get done putting your line on it. So anyway, we got 2 half hitches on there. We tied 2 knots instead of just that one. So there we go. Now we'll cut it off. Maybe it won't break this time. Put it on. There we go. Now we're ready to go. You know what I completely forgot to do? We're going to cut that off and redo it. It can be done without putting it on the rod. It's always best to put it on the rod, so you're not just sitting there holding a reel. My bad. I get ahead of myself sometimes. Okay. Now, take a line, come up through at least the first eye. You can do more, but I don't think it's really necessary. All right, come on. What's the issue now? There we go. Alrighty. Bring it down through your level wind eyelet, over the top of your spool, over the top of your spool, underneath your spool, and there we go. Now, take our tag in side, do a double, because that's what this one wants. We'll do a double half hitch around our main line. There's one. that's good and tight. Pull it down tight. Make sure our line's in the middle of the spool. All right, here we go. Just set this on the floor. Set that on the floor, and here we go. I like to keep a little bit of tension on it. And we'll just go to town. You want to feel it. If you're good at working a baitcaster, if you know what you're doing, fill it about an 1/8 inch below the top edge of the spool. That way you don't wind up having too much line on it, because that can also cause you to backlash. If you're new to using a baitcaster, I'll tell you what, we'll do a how-to on how to properly use a baitcaster at some point also. We need to do that. If you don't know how to use it, fill it about, I don't know, 3/16 from the top. Just a little bit below an 1/8 inch. Because you don't have to have it filled all the way up. You're not going to cast all of it out, especially with 14 pound. It's not that big of a line. If you're new to using a baitcaster, fill it up about that much. A little over an 1/8 inch below the top. But if you know how to use one, the proper amount is around an 1/8 inch. There we go. I like that. I think that'll work. Alright, we're going to take it. Get that off. Put that off the side. It's hitting the proper way to do this. Your hook keeper, but it'll be okay. It's kind of a couple half inches off in the hook keeper. Just kind of hold it there, and then we'll go bait it up later. Okay. After it's all said and done, it should be on there something like that. You see how it's nice and tight and uniform, and it's not all off to one side or lumped in the middle or shallow in the middle. It's fairly uniform. It's fairly straight, and as you're fishing with it, it'll straighten out even more. So anyhow, I guess that's about all I got for today. We will be out on the lake hopefully Monday, weather permitting, and if we can get out of work early enough, because I just not getting out of work until 5-6 o'clock. It doesn't give me enough time to get down to the lake. It really doesn't. It's almost pointless to go down there that late, because by the time I get everything set up and get to where I want to fish at, I've only got maybe 30 minutes of good light to be able to fish in. So hopefully Monday, if we can get off at 3 or 3:30, whenever we're supposed to, that'll give us about 3.5 or 4 good hours of fishing, and we'll be able to go do something. I guess just as a reminder to recap, whenever you're spooling up, make sure that your line is coming off the top of your spool onto the top of your bait caster. So whenever you reel it, it's going onto your reel the same as it's coming off of your spool, and that'll prevent line twists. That'll prevent a lot of backlashes. It'll just prevent a lot of bad things from happening. That's going to make you say dirty words and make your fishing experience a little bit less enjoyable. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I want to say thank you again for being with me, and that I hope you stick with me through my journey. I know it's kind of starting out slow and it's not very interesting right now, but we'll get there. It's all a learning experience, and I've got to learn somewhere. And if I can later on, 5, 6 years from now, somebody just starting out can look back at the first at my first few videos and watch me from start to what hopefully be my future career in the fishing industry. And I just hope I can be an inspiration to somebody someday, like so many of the good fishermen have been to me. I hope that we can eventually get up to where we can start working with foundations to better the fishing community. I would love to eventually get a big enough name to where I could host some sort of like a charity fishing tournament, like just a cheap buy-in, like maybe a $50 or $100 buy-in or something like that, and the whole pot goes to the winner, or a certain percentage of the pot goes to the winner to donate to any foundation, any kind of charity that he wants or she. I think that would be cool. I think being able to have a name and have the finances to fund stuff like that would be cool. I think that would be a neat thing to be able to do. So anyway, it's a long road ahead of us, and like I said, I just hope that everybody sticks with me, and I think it'll be a good thing. I think it'll be a real good thing. Hope you all have a good night. God bless, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you.